Let us take one function. Okay, the simplest of examples that is given. So let us take a function f of x is equal to, say, x plus 2. All right. Now, we want to study this function as x approaches a particular value. So let's say as x approaches 2. We write this as we read it as x tends to 2. Now, what does that mean? It means like this. This is x value. This is f of x values we will write. Now, x is tending to 2. That is, x is approaching the value 2. What we can do, we can approach from the left. So here I write as x tends to 2 minus. Approaching from the left means I am approaching 2 from the values less than 2. So on the number, in the number line, so let's see here. This is the graph of the function. So okay. So this is the line y equal to x plus 2, or f of x is equal to x plus 2. And so on the real number line, or on the coordinate axis, which consists of 2 real number lines, so we are marking. Okay. So now let's look at this. Now as x tends to 2 minus, that means x is approaching the value 2 from values lesser than 2. So x is, say, 1.9, 1.95, 1.99, 1.995, 1.999. What happens to f of x? It approaches x plus 2. It becomes 3.9, 3.95, 3.99, 3.995, 3.999. Okay, that means as x is approaching 2, f of x approaches the value 4. Okay, this is 2 minus, so this is also values slightly lesser than 4. Now let us consider this. Suppose we approach 2 from values greater than 2, 2.1, then we come close, 2.05, then 2.01, 2.005, 2.001. So we are approaching to x is going towards 2 from values greater than 2. Okay, what happens to f of x? It becomes 4.1, 4.05, 4.01, 4.005, 4.001, so on. So this is approaching 4. So here, look at this graph. As x approaches 2 from the left, the function value approaches 4. Okay, this value is 4. Similarly, when we approach 2 from the right side, okay, the function value is approaching 4 again. If from both sides the function value, so this part we write this as limit x tends to 2 minus f of x is equal to 4. Remember, when we write it as equal to, but what it means is as x tends to 2 minus f of x tends to 4. For the function, we don't worry about whether it is approaching from the left or from the right, but we should have an idea. Here it is values lesser than 4. Okay, we read it, actually it is as x tends to 2 minus f of x tends to 4. Remember, f of x is not equal to 4. F of x is only tending to 4. So limiting value means that it is not equal to, it is approaching a particular value. Now, similarly, for this portion, we denote this as limit x tends to 2 plus of f of x is equal to 4. And what it means is as x tends to 2 plus f of x tends to 4. So now both this we know, we call this as the left hand limit, and this is the right handed limit. So if left hand limit is equal to the right hand limit, then we say the limit exists. If left hand limit LHL is equal to the right hand limit, then limit exists and is equal to the value of whatever the value is. Okay, so then we write limit x tends to 2 f of x exists, and in this case it's equal to 4. Okay, so in this particular case it is equal to 4. This is the fundamental concept of limit said in a very simplistic and easy manner. Okay, for any function, if I am approaching a particular value in x, what the value does f of x approach? F of x may not be equal to that value, but f of x is approaching that value. Sometimes it can be, for a constant function, it can be equal to that value. So this is the fundamental concept of limit. Now let us take another example. This was example 1. Now let us examine this one, example 2. F of x is equal to modulus of x minus 2 upon x minus 2 if x is not equal to 2, and it is equal to 0 for x equal to 2. Now let us plot this function. Now we know when x is greater than 2, for x greater than 2, mod of x minus 2 will be equal to x minus 2, because x minus 2 will be positive. Modulus of a positive expression will be the expression itself. Now for x less than 2, modulus of x minus 2 will be equal to, tell me, yesterday we discussed this, modulus of x minus 2 will be equal to negative of this. Yesterday we discussed mod of x when x is negative is equal to minus x. So clear? So what happens? This function is now split into 3 parts piecewise. So when x is greater than 2, we get x minus 2 upon x minus 2. We'll get the value 1. When x is equal to 2, the function is already defined as 0. When x is less than 2, the function will be minus of x minus 2 divided by x minus 2. This modulus of x minus 2 becomes minus of x minus 2, so you get minus 1. So at x equal to 2, now if we plot the graph, this is 1, this is minus 1. So when we plot the graph at x equal to 2, it is 0. And beyond that, it is, okay, I'll use a different color. When x is greater than 2, the function value is constant equal to 1. When x is less than 2, the function value is minus 1. Okay. Now at x equal to 2, the function value is 0. Now, yeah, for all values of x less than 2, the function value is minus 1. All right. So now tell me, limit, right? I'll write the left hand limit. Limit as x tends to 2 minus of f of x. What will it be? What will it be? Limit x tends to 2 minus this modulus of x minus 2 by x minus 2. Because x is a value slightly lesser than 2, this will be negative. So minus of x minus 2 upon x minus 2. So the value here, you get these two cancel because x is not equal to 2. Remember, if x were equal to 2, you cannot cancel. It will be exact 0 upon 0. Here it is not exactly 0. It is a number close to 0, but not exactly equal to 0. So you can cancel off the 2. So you get minus 1. So here you can see, as we approach x from the left, the function value is a constant and it is equal to minus 1. It is not just approaching minus 1, it is equal to minus 1 in all cases here. Similarly, now the right hand limit, limit x tends to 2 plus f of x is equal to limit x tends to 2 plus modulus of x minus 2 upon x minus 2. Yeah, this becomes positive. X minus 2 is positive because x is approaching 2 from values greater than 2. So x is greater than 2. So this will be positive. Upon the same positive number, you get plus 1. So here you see, as we approach 2, as x approaches the value 2 from values greater than 2, 2 plus, the function is throughout a constant is equal to plus 1. So left hand limit is minus 1, right hand limit is plus 1. So in this case, we say the limit of f as x tends to 2 does not exist. It does not exist. Clear? So this is the fundamental concept. They are more formal and difficult definitions, which we need not worry about, but I'll just brief you about it, what those definitions are. But this is the fundamental concept. Graphically, you can understand very easily. So here, just graphically, if you have a graphical idea, immediately you can mark right hand limit is plus 1, left hand limit is minus 1. Okay, if you have good grip over graphs. So limit means as x approaches a particular value, what value does the function approach? If it approaches two distinct values from the left and from the right, then the limit does not exist. If it approaches the same value, then the limit exists. So here is the formal definition of limit. Okay. This is a very involved mathematical definition, and generally people don't understand this, or they just ignore it. And truly, for exam point of view, you can ignore it, but concept point of view, it is an excellent concept. The way limit has been defined is something super excellent, this definition. Now, see, generally, for greater detail, you should watch one of my videos on YouTube on neighborhood of a point. What do you mean by neighborhood of a point? It is around 10 minutes video. You watch. I've explained in a great detail. But in a short way, I will summarize. See, when I say this is 0, 1, 2, 3, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, and let's say a, and say minus a. So when I say mod x is equal to mod x is equal to 2, which means x can be value 2 or minus 2. Okay, x can either be plus 2 or x can be equal to minus 2. So it represents these points. So mod x can mean, you can take it as the distance of this point from the origin, which is 2. This distance is also 2. So mod x refers to that point which is at a distance from origin. And what is that distance? Mod x equal to 2 means that distance is 2. So you get 2 points, 2 and minus 2. All right. Now when I write mod x less than a, modulus of x is less than 2, it means it is set of all points which are at a distance of less than 2 from the origin. So you can see this. So when x is greater than 0, you get x mod x is replaced by x if x is greater than 0. And if x is less than 0, mod x will be minus x, which implies x is greater than minus 2 for x less than 0. All right. So together, these two inequalities together, what it means, x is greater than minus 2 but less than 2. So it is set of all values of x which are lying within between 2 and minus 2. So this is what it means. This entire area is modulus of x less than 2, means this. All right. Now similarly, we will when we choose with respect to a point A, all right, and let's say this is x, modulus of x minus A is nothing but the distance between x and A on the number line. Okay. Now, modulus of now just see this, modulus of x minus A equal to delta means, just see this, I have 2 points of x such that its distance from A is equal to delta. So I get 2 points, A plus delta and A minus delta. Okay, this is delta, this is delta. So modulus of x minus A equal to delta refers to these 2 points, A plus delta, A minus delta and A plus delta. There are 2 values you get for this. However, when you write modulus of x minus A less than delta, it refers to this entire region. This means x lies between A minus delta and A plus delta. You can expand and see just the way we did like this. So it refers to this entire region. This is called as the neighborhood of A, or this we call as the delta neighborhood of A. All right. Now, when x is equal to A exactly, this value will be 0. Mod of x minus A will become 0 when x is exactly equal to A. So otherwise modulus is always positive, but it can be 0 when x equal to A. So what here this expression means is 0 less than x minus A modulus less than delta, means x cannot take the value A. Everything else is the same except that x cannot take the value A. So this implies x takes the value x takes all values except A, this one. So you get A minus delta to A union A to A plus delta. In the previous case, it was A minus delta to A plus delta, x was taking, but here it is not taking A. That is the only difference. This is called as your deleted delta neighborhood of A. Okay. So now let us understand this definition now. So let f be function defined in the deleted neighborhood of A, because to find limits we are approaching a particular point. Like in the previous example we took, x was approaching 2, it was not equal to 2. So it doesn't matter whether x is equal to A, but x is approaching A. So we choose a neighborhood of A other than the point A. So if a function is defined in the deleted neighborhood of A and L be a real number, now for every positive epsilon, however small, there exists a positive delta such that, okay, now let us understand this definition, such that as long as function value lies in the neighborhood of L, epsilon neighborhood of L, okay, such that x lies in the deleted neighborhood of A. So this what definition it says is, as long as x lies in the deleted neighborhood of A, function value lies in the neighborhood of L. Okay, what does this mean? Modulus of f of x minus L less than epsilon. It means that f of x lies between L minus epsilon to L plus epsilon. Okay. So if the function, if x lies in the deleted neighborhood of A, function will lie in the deleted neighborhood of, in the neighborhood of L, where delta is approaching 0 and epsilon is approaching 0, very, very small. As delta approaches 0, epsilon should also approach 0. That's the idea. If this happens, then we say that limit x tends to A, f of x is equal to L. Now, why such a definition has to be given? This question, why such a definition has to be given? Why such a complicated definition? Because our definition of limit should accommodate all types of functions. So here for this function, it is very, very easy. All right. So if I am in the neighborhood of 2 here, the function value is in the neighborhood of 4. No problem. So here very clearly limit x tends to 2, f of x is equal to 4. All right. Okay. But why such a complicated definition then? The way we understood limits was much easy. This definition makes it very confusing. True, it will make confusing, but it has to accommodate all types of problems. So let us take just a second. Okay, let us take a graph of sine 1 upon x. This is the graph of sine 1 upon x. All right. You see, sine 1 upon x is a very peculiar graph. We know sine values lie between -1 and 1. Okay. Now, as x increases, 1 by x tends to 0, no problem. As x becomes very large negative value, where that means tending to minus infinity, again this will be tending to 0, no problem. So sine values will approach 0. But when x approaches 0, 1 by x tends to infinite values. See the graph, how it is. Very interesting is, you keep going closer and closer, the graph becomes denser and denser. Sine 1 by x. You go closer and closer, the graph becomes denser and denser. And when you approach 0 very, very close, the graph oscillates very vigorously, very fast. All right. Now, to this, if we apply the normal logic, I am approaching, x is approaching 0 from the right. What does sine 1 by x, my function, approach? Where will it approach? I don't know. I cannot say, because it is oscillating so fast at that particular point. It can be 1, it can be -1, it can be 0, it can be some value in between -1 and 1. It is so, from here a small delta change I make in value of x, my value of function oscillates between -1 and 1. So that is why for functions like this, when you say x is in the delta neighborhood of 0, function value is not in the neighborhood of 0. Although it is oscillating, the condition for this definition is epsilon, if it is reducing, if delta is reducing to 0, then epsilon must be reducing to 0 and vice versa. But this phenomena cannot be seen in sine 1 by x graph. The reason being, as x approaches 0, as x is in the neighborhood of 0, sine 1 by x is oscillating widely. It varies between -1 and 1. Your epsilon value has to be very, very, very small, proportionate to delta, but that doesn't happen. That is why the limit of sine 1 by x does not exist at x equal to 0. It has a oscillatory discontinuity. So, of course, this at intermediate level, this example cannot be given. Only now that you are in a degree level, this example will make a better sense now. So that is the reason why this definition is given, to accommodate all kinds of functions. And this is a very foolproof and very mathematically sound definition. However, for us, for most practical problems in engineering and our mathematical problems, we don't have to worry so much. We will get functions like this, where it is very clear when you approach x from the left, x approaches 2 from the left, your value approaches 4, x approaches 2 from the right, value approaches 4. Or you will get a discontinuous function like this. When x approaches 2 from the left, function value is -1, and when x approaches 2 from the right, function value is 1. At best, we'll get problems like this. So that is how we should understand limits. Okay. So we don't have to, although for completion, I just dwelled this much time on neighborhood concept. But this concept of limit is something very important. People just learn formula, and that's why they struggle in the entire calculus. Limit of a function is a building block for the entire calculus, because your derivative is defined as limit. Your integral is defined as limit. So if a function is continuous and say f of a is equal to L, and function is continuous, so generally, in general, limit as x tends to a, f of x will be equal to L. All right, example. Limit x tends to 2. The function I will write as x square minus 9. Now, you don't have to go by left hand limit, right hand limit. In this particular case, it's a direct expression. When you go either by the left or the right, because it's an algebraic expression, both will tend to the same value. So this you can directly substitute 2 square minus 9, which is minus 5. Okay. But a question comes, in solving indeterminate forms. So when a function indeterminate forms, other than indeterminate forms, if this holds, if limit f of x as x tends to a equal to L holds, then limit, if this holds true, then limit x tends to a, you can write some a into f of x plus b will be equal to a times L plus b. That's it. It is just a matter of substitution. So many times students confuse. What is this function? Limit means just we have to substitute that value in the function. And yes, it is true, you will get the limit value. But remember, it means that as x is approaching a, this particular expression, a f of x plus b, is approaching this value, a L plus b. Okay. What the problem arises? The problem arises when dealing with indeterminate forms. When x approaches a particular value, the expression approaches one of these forms. So suppose f of x is numerator by denominator. For example, x square minus 4 by x minus 2. Now, when x is approaching 2, what happens? Numerator is going to 0, denominator is also going to 0. If only numerator went to 0, numerator upon denominator will be 0. If numerator was not 0 and the denominator is going to 0, then you will get infinite. The value tends to infinity. Okay. But it is 0 upon 0. So whether the function approaches 0 or the function approaches infinity or the function approaches a finite value. That is why this form is called as an indeterminate form, because we have to evaluate by mathematical logic. Directly we cannot say. Okay. And remember this numerator by denominator, very, very important. Numerator is not equal to 0. Denominator is not equal to 0. Both these expressions are tending to 0. They're not equal to 0. This is a fundamental thing in understanding limits. The function values are approaching a particular value. It is not equal to that value. Okay. When you know this, you can solve the problem. Now the same thing I use as x tends to infinity. I apply the limit here, x tends to infinity. So numerator, infinity means a huge number. It is x is tending to infinity. X is not equal to infinity. Infinity is an undefined quantity. But x is tending to infinity means x is going 10 power 100, then 10 power 1000, 10 power 10,000. It is going on like that. So then x square minus 4 will also approach infinity, because this will go huge number, x square. 10 power 10,000 means x square, if x is 10 power 10,000, x square will be 10 power 20,000. Minus 4. Denominator, x is 10 power 10,000, very huge number, minus 2. It will again be a very large value. So you get an infinity by infinity form. Again, infinity by infinity form is indeterminate. Why? Because we do not know whether which the numerator is fast approaching infinity or denominator is fast approaching infinity. All right. Whichever is faster, that will be dominant. So if numerator is approaching faster than the denominator, then the limit will be infinity. If the denominator is approaching faster than the numerator, then the limit will be 0. If both are approaching at the same rate, infinite value, you will get a constant. So that is why these are called as indeterminate forms. Okay. So how to evaluate these indeterminate forms?